So to be totally honest with you guys, there was a long time where I could not tolerate coffee. So when I had GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, coffee was one of my biggest triggers. I would get instant throat burning, throat tightness, pain underneath the rib cage anytime I would try to drink coffee. And this was even after I weaned off of all my PPIs and I wasn't having GERD anymore. I wasn't having recurring reflux. I would still have reflux when I had even the littlest bit of coffee. And you know what? I have found through working with hundreds of people with reflux that the liquids, the beverage triggers like caffeine, carbonation, alcohol, those are sometimes the hardest to reintroduce. And sometimes even after we no longer have GERD, persistent reflux, those beverages still can be tricky to reincorporate. So if you're struggling with reflux, you're in the right place. I have an entire reflux playlist dedicated to helping you overcome reflux, understand your nutrition needs, manage stress, and understand how to eat to prevent reflux. And if you're not familiar with my journey with reflux, I struggled with GERD for years, and I have an updated video on my whole journey, what my symptoms were like, how long it took me to heal, and the things that I did to heal and wean off of my acid suppression. But in today's video, I'm going to answer a question that I get all the time from my clients and from you guys on social media, which is, can you drink coffee if you have acid reflux? Now, for me personally, in my reflux journey, I had to remove coffee for a period of time. I had to remove coffee for probably about a year when I was weaning off of my PPIs. You know, I had really severe GERD, so everyone's journey is a little bit different, and some people don't need to remove coffee, but for me, it was a really, really big trigger. So it helped me a lot to remove it for a temporary period of time. And I want to stress that removing the triggers can be a temporary period where you are removing the triggers, preventing reflux, and allowing that tissue to heal so that you can reincorporate those foods back in the future. And that is what we do with our clients at Flora Nutrition. So we usually have a temporary elimination period, and then we slowly reintroduce the triggers when symptoms are about a 0 to a 1, and we understand your threshold amount, which your threshold amount is how much of that food can you have without triggering reflux symptoms. This brings me to a question that I also get really frequently, which is, when is the right time to reintroduce the trigger foods? With our clients, typically there's an 8 to 12 week process where we are eliminating those triggers using supplements, herbs to soothe the irritation and calm the inflammation, and then working on the root cause of your reflux. And we usually wait till symptoms are about a 1 or a 0, somewhere between a 0 and a 1 on a symptom severity scale. And that may feel different for different people. Reflux symptoms can show up differently in different people. I just posted a video about different types of reflux symptoms and non-acid versus acid reflux, so definitely check that out. But typically you wanna wait till your symptoms have been stable around a 0 to a 1 before reintroducing. Or if you're weaning off your PPI, I don't recommend introducing the reflux triggers at the same time as your PPI wean. Let me know below if you want me to make a video about the process of weaning off of PPIs and kind of what that looked like for me. I'd be happy to make a video on that. Now you're probably wondering, how do I get my symptoms down to a 0 or a 1? I have reflux symptoms every day or after every time I eat. If that is you, definitely check out all of my other videos on Instagram, TikTok, here on YouTube. Go to the acid reflux playlist. Make your way through each and every one of those videos. You can learn so much, and I've had so many people email me and message me saying that they have really cured their GERD, their chronic reflux, or reduced their reflux symptoms significantly from just watching my content. So definitely go check that out. And then if you're looking for more support, we do have one-on-one sessions and programs and tons of stuff in the description of this video. So on my quest to be able to drink a delicious cup of coffee, I have tried almost every single low acid, low caffeine coffee on the market that is marketed as reflux friendly. And I'm gonna show you my top 2 favorites. One has a little bit of caffeine and one has no caffeine. So these are really great alternatives that a lot of our clients have utilized in their reflux healing journeys and loved them. So this one that you just saw me make is a caffeine-free and coffee-free alternative called Kamana. So if you are someone that really needs to avoid caffeine right now altogether, Kamana is perfect. It's actually roasted mesquite pods, and it has a really delicious flavor that's very similar to coffee. And it's low acid, acid-free, Really delicious. I love this with a little bit of almond milk and Manuka honey or some cinnamon. Absolutely delicious. So you could definitely swap this out for your morning coffee if you're in the healing phase from reflux, GERD, or LPR. Oh, so good. I do have a discount code down below for you, so be sure to take advantage of that because it will save you some money on this. If you are ready to have some caffeine or you want to try to reintroduce coffee after you've done some healing from reflux or GERD or LPR, my favorite coffee, low acid coffee, is Days Coffee, and it is a small roaster in New Jersey, and they actually use this really special enzyme fermentation process to make the coffee. It's delicious, rich, bold, low in acid, and it's only 1/3 of the caffeine of a regular cup of coffee. So it's like a really perfect gateway back into coffee. It's so delicious, and I have tried them all. This is my top favorite. I also have a discount code down below for you, but it's really nice to try this one out if you're in the US because it's a small business and it's a really reputable business. They're using a really special process that is chemical free for the decaffeination process, and you do get a little bit of caffeine. So if you try this out, let me know. Next, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take you with me to Starbucks, and I'm gonna show you my top 3 reflux-friendly Starbucks orders, and then I'm gonna give you my top 5 tips on how to drink coffee if you struggle with reflux. So let's go.
So my client was devastated when her doctor told her she could no longer have Starbucks because of her GERD diagnosis. If you have reflux, caffeine can be a trigger because it can loosen the lower esophageal sphincter. So here are 3 reflux-friendly drinks you can order at Starbucks. Number 1 is a passion iced tea. This is caffeine-free. You can get it unsweetened because you're sweet enough. Number 2 is a matcha latte. You can ask for 1/3 of the matcha to decrease the overall caffeine content, and you can get it with almond milk if you're dairy-free. Lastly, one of my favorite hacks is getting a single shot decaf almond milk latte. Here's a tip: the calcium added to the almond milk neutralizes the acidity of the shot, making this more alkaline than just a regular drip coffee. If you try any of these drinks, let me know. I probably wouldn't recommend this one. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach is just asking for acid reflux. People have actually been dealing with acid reflux related to caffeine since the dawn of man. I'm not a historian, but I heard this story on a podcast recently and I wanted to share it with you. So historians found excerpts from the medieval times where they were talking about getting chest of fire when they drank their morning beverage. And so what was happening is they were drinking coffee on an empty stomach and they were getting a painful burning chest, aka acid reflux. So what they started to do was break their fast with their coffee. Having food with their coffee helped prevent this chest of fire. And this is where breakfast came about. So it may not be historically accurate, but it's a really great example of why it's so important to have coffee with food. You never ever want to have coffee on an empty stomach because this can really increase the likelihood that you reflux, and then it's super acidic because you have no food in there to help buffer the acidity. So always make sure to have your coffee with a little something, whether that's a bar or one of my pumpkin protein muffins. I personally love having a banana or one of my pumpkin muffins or donuts in the morning. The recipe for that is in my cookbook. Another thing you need to know about having coffee if you have acid reflux is you always want to have it with milk. Milk or almond milk can dilute the acidity of the coffee and make it better, make it easier to tolerate. Tip number 3 is amount is everything. Play with the amount and see what works for you. Maybe 4 ounces of coffee with 2 ounces of milk works well, but a full 12-ounce coffee is just too much caffeine for you right now. So play around and see what works for you in terms of amount. Also, sip, 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 do not chug. Any sort of liquid, you want to avoid chugging if you have reflux, but especially a caffeinated drink. Try to sip this over the course of 8 to 10 minutes and avoid just chugging all in one go because that can just come right back up. Also, try to limit your total caffeine intake if you really want to make room for your morning coffee. So beware of other caffeine that may be in teas, sodas, or even kombucha if you want to enjoy caffeine in the morning without symptoms.
All right, friends, I hope this video was helpful for you in your reflux journey. And before you go, I just want to let you know about a new video that I just released on the signs and symptoms of acid reflux and non-acid reflux. So I go into detail about some sneaky signs of reflux, some symptoms that you may not even realize may be associated with reflux, and also what's the difference between acid and non-acid reflux. So click here to watch that video and be sure to subscribe down below, hit the like button because it really supports my channel, and join this community. I'll see you in the next one.